Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly an honor to stand in front of such incredible audience. To begin with, I want to tell you a story that happened 4 years ago. At this time, my brother was studying in the senior high school in the US. His dormmate called Lee, who was smart, kind, and full of promise. At the same year, Lee got an offer from Harvard University. An afternoon, when Lee went home with my brother, everything changed in a single moment. A man with gun rushed out. Lee fell to the ground and books scattered beside him. By the time ambulance arrived, his breath was fading. Doctor tried to save him, but the bullet had taken too much. That evening, the world lost a boy who should have a bright future. After talking with the policeman, we know that the offenders consumed too many drugs and committed a crime. In fact, urban violence takes many forms. In the US, it is often gun-related. In China, it can be knife attack, youth violence, or school bullying. Urban violence happens among the most disadvantaged and disenfranchised people among us, mostly young men without a lot of options or much hope. You may ask, why should we care about this young man? Why urban violence matter? Urban violence matters because it disproportionately impacts vulnerable groups, enlarging the social disparity and making the last glimmer of hope die. Urban violence matters also because we can actually do something about it. Controlling it is not an impossible or intractable challenge that many believe it to be. The dark point in this map shows the incidence of gun homicide in the US. In 2015, there were more than 13,000 gun homicides in the US, but half of those deaths were in just 127 cities, which contains just a quarter of the population. Even within those cities, violence is further concentrated in the tiny neighborhoods. We saw 2 or more gun homicides in a single year. Let's take a look at St. Louis, which has the highest gun murder rate in the US. If the 2015 gun homicide in the St. Louis distributed randomly, it would like something like this. But if you actually live in St. Louis, it looks like that. We can compare these two charts. Obviously, a polarity is shown. Crime is mainly concentrated in the northern and eastern part of St. Louis, while only 2 crimes were witnessed in the western corner. Now, I want to add some new information. The shaded chart from the left to the right indicates poverty, educational level, and percentage of Black, respectively. The darker the shaded region represents the more serious the issue. These 3 charts indicate a positive correlation between violence and poverty, low education, and the percentage of Black. A similar phenomena can be seen in New Orleans. Researchers even call this the law of crime concentration. In city after city, a clear majority of hot people and hotspots accounts for most of urban violence. Now, I have a question. What would you do if you know exactly where violence was taking place? Would you increase the policeman there, or strengthen inspection, or directly block this area? Let me tell you a policy that effectively alleviates young violence. That is group violence intervention. Group violence intervention, called GVI, also known as the Boston ceasefire, has been implemented in cities like Boston, Chicago, and Auckland. At the simplest, this policy is divided into two stages. Firstly, to identify those who are most likely to shoot or be shot. And then confront them with a double message of empathy and accountability, giving them a clear choice: stop committing a crime or continue to do so. We know it is you that is doing the shooting. It must stop. If you let us, we will help you. If you make us, we will stop you. For those who are willing to change are offered with service and support. For those who persistence in violence behaviors are brought to justice while targeted law enforcement action. As a result, in Boston's, Young's homicide has reduced by 63% after implementing this GVI. After talking about the urban violence for such a long time, I want you to think about our own lives. What is a challenge that makes you feel overwhelming? A failure in recent math quiz? A low score in the IELTS examination? Or the fierce competition at our school? What if you try this inside-out approach? Identify core of issue and address it directly. When you feel you mess up everything, you try to write them down and to see the problem for what they are. Prioritize the most urgent and important things first. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening today.